Hello my dears, and welcome back to my corner of the internet. Today I've got another book talk video to share with you guys. And before we get into the book that we're going to be focusing most of the video on, I just wanted to share with you two new books that I just got, and I mean literally right before I came to film the video. They got delivered to the door from Amazon. The first is Astrophysics for People in a Hurry by Neil deGrasse Tyson. Look what a gorgeous book cover. And the jacket has that sort of rubbery feel to it that some books are having nowadays, and I love it. And the second, also from a Neil. I didn't realize when I was ordering that they were both Neil authors, but this one's from Neil Gaiman, and it's Norse mythology. Another gorgeous, gorgeous cover, and it also has that sort of rubbery feel. Very excited to get into those two. But today what we're going to be focusing on is the absolutely heartbreaking All My Puny Sorrows by Miriam Toews. Now, I mean, as you can tell from the title, All My Puny Sorrows, it's a sad book. Now, in keeping with the theme that I've had on and off for the past couple of months, this book was a shortlist finalist for the Scotiabank Giller Prize. Now, if you haven't caught any of the videos where I speak about that prize, it is a Canadian literature prize given to a Canadian author for a book written in English, though translations do count. So there's always a winner, and then there's a short list of finalists, and this was one of the short finalists. Now, this book is about two sisters, Elf and Jolie. And they're very close. We meet them first as little girls, and we get to see where life takes them. For Yoli, she is the younger of the two sisters. She becomes a mom. Doesn't have much luck with relationships. Both of her children are from different men. She's a writer. She writes sort of books for teenagers, though she's working on her first full novel for adults. And, you know, finances are a struggle, romance is a struggle, but she makes it work. And Elf is a world-class, world-renowned pianist. And she seems to have it all. She's, you know, got the fame from her music. She's got a husband who absolutely adores her, and a home, a beautiful home. But the thing is, Elf is severely depressed. And it seems to be something that runs in their family because their father, years before, committed suicide. And now we meet Elf and Julie are now, you know, they're in their 40s, and Elf has tried many times herself to commit suicide. Unsuccessfully. Hang on. Okay, where was I? Yes, she's tried unsuccessfully to take her own life in the past. There's a quote fairly early on in the book that sort of sums up the relationship, and I'm paraphrasing here, I think, and it's, "She wanted to die and I wanted her to live. We were enemies who loved each other." So, as Elf is getting ready to go on a world tour, she has another episode, I guess you would call it, and she winds up in the hospital. And she brings it up to her sister that she wants her sister to take her to Switzerland, where not only is assisted suicide legal, mental illness is one of the reasons that they will do it. Now, from what I can tell in the book, it sort of takes place, even though it was published in 2014, it seems to take place around 2011. And assisted suicide is now legal in Canada. It became legal in 2014, I believe, but mental illness is not one of the reasons. It has to be a medical condition that has been shown to have no cure. Not mental illness is not covered, but in Switzerland it is, and I believe they call it like weariness of life is sort of the category that it's put under. So Elf asks Yoli to please take her to Switzerland. And Yoli is sort of faced with the decision of, what do you do when you know the chances are it's going to happen? Elf is sort of dead set. She won't take the medication. She's just dead set on ending her own life. So what do? Do you refuse to help someone who you love more than anything in the world and let them go off on their own and do it alone and possibly scared? Or do you swallow, whatever is in you screaming not to do it and help them anyway? And that's kind of the struggle that Yoli faces. At first she tells her no. She says, no, we're not doing that, and that's it. And it's a back and forth between what she wants to do and what she should do, because she loves her sister. So the book is so incredibly well written. Miriam Toews is an absolute superstar when it comes to prose. She is just so talented. And something that I found out after I actually finished reading the book, because I hadn't done much research about it beforehand, but this is a work of fiction. It's written as a fiction, but it's based on the author's life. She had a father who committed suicide, and then she had a sister who committed suicide. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you, if you don't want to know where this story goes, turn back now. Click the X, get the heck out of here. I would definitely recommend reading this book. It's definitely sad, it's definitely heavy, but it's good. It's really good. So, okay, now let's get on to what happens. So, once again, from the last hospitalization, Elf gets out. She's getting ready to go on tour. She feels like she's ready to do it. And then right before she's about to go, she has another episode. She ends up back in the hospital, and Yoli she's devastated and she doesn't know what to do. So she tries to formulate a plan. She says, okay, you know what? I don't want her to be alone. I don't want her to be scared. I don't know how I'm going to do this because Elf doesn't want her husband to know, and she doesn't want her mom to know. She just wants her sister to know. Which is putting Yoli in a very, very complicated and sticky position. So the family lives in Winnipeg. Yoli has moved to Toronto because that's just where it's best for her to be living with her children and her career. So Yoli decides, okay, we'll do it. We'll go to Switzerland, but it costs a lot of money, and I need to save up. So how about this? Get a change of scenery. When you get out of the hospital, come to Toronto and see me. Spend the time with me while I'm saving up the money. Then once I get it, we will go to Switzerland together. And Yoli figures, if nothing else, this will buy her time. And then if the time comes and she's still, dead set on it, then they will deal with that then, and they will go and they will take care of it. And so Yoli goes back to Toronto, and she gets to work. So when she was leaving to go back to Toronto, Yoli says to the nurses at the hospital, like, please don't let her leave. She's not ready. Don't let her leave. Just don't let her leave until she's ready. Don't listen to her when she tells you that she's better. She's not. And the nurses promise her. And then one day it's actually Elf's birthday. Elf's birthday rolls around, and Yoli hears from Elf's husband Nick, I believe, that Elf has been given a day pass for her birthday. And as soon as Yoli hangs up the phone, she says, well, that's it. She's gone. And she was right. That day, Elf went home for her birthday. She sent her husband to the library. She told him, there's some books I would really love to read, books that throughout my life have meant a lot to me. So she sends him to the library, and while he's gone, she leaves and she goes and she stands in front of a train, which is the exact same thing that so many years ago her father did. And so from there, the rest of the book is Yoli sort of dealing with that loss. The loss that she knew would happen. You know, she wonders to herself, did Elf ever truly intend on making it to Toronto like she had agreed? And she's so upset at the hospital. Nights she gets drunk and then she calls the hospital. And she asks, she says, is Elf there? She says the full name. The nurse says, no, we don't have anybody by that name. And Yoli, drunk and heartbroken, she says, really? Because you promised you wouldn't let her leave. And it's just, it's so absolutely heartbreaking, even more so once you find out that it's, you know, it's based on a story from not a story, based on Miriam Toews' own life. And it's, I hope it was healing for her to write that story. I can imagine, I can only imagine that it probably was to some degree sort of a catharsis to write the story out. And I can't imagine the kind of pain that is to lose a sister. That even when I was reading this book, I texted my sister and I said, I'm reading a really sad book and it's making me want to hug you. And that's what it does, because it's just, it's such an examination both of mental illness but also of the incredible bonds of sisterhood. So there you have it. This gets 2 big thumbs up from me, 2 sad thumbs up from me, but so good. Definitely recommend you giving it a read. And if you have read it, please let me know down below what you thought of it. Have you read any other of Miriam Toews' books? I hope in time to review some of those as well, because she's just such a treasure, so talented, and I'd love to talk about it more. So that's it for today, my friends. I'll see you guys on Monday with a Tea Talk video. Bye!